Hey, everybody. Welcome to a Saturday edition here of Cup of Ray, live from world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. Of course, if you guys haven't heard by now, ESPN is reporting that Tom Brady has retired. Buccaneers quarterback the last two seasons, of course, after a phenomenal career in New England. Uh, I just realized I don't have another call. It's another cold opening, just like it was last night. Of course, I went live from here last night with a Friday night after dark, if you will. It was kind of a reserved Cup of Ray. Got people walking out on the balconies now in Buccaneer shirts. It's kind of a weird day, right? I was down in Fergs and I had just gotten done doing my a live show there on the St. Pete Sports Connection, and I'm walking through Fergs and everybody. First of all, nobody's really wearing Bucks gear. Of course, the Buccaneers just lost last Sunday in the divisional round of the playoffs, but everybody looked at me like, they saw, of course, I was wearing my Bucks gear. Just got done doing the show. They know me around here at Fergs from Cup of Ray here on Bucks Report. But everybody looking at me, and it was weird. It was almost like one of those things where you're walking through an area, and people are looking at you like they want to feel for you. They want to tell you they feel bad. And of course, we're all feeling it here in Tampa Bay. And so I wanted to go live here and talk to you guys again. ESPN is reporting that Tom Brady has announced that he will be retiring. Looks like he may have won. And of course, Rick Hughes last night posed so eloquently. Never get a chance to see that cat nose. Maybe that's the reason why Tom walked away. It wasn't because of the fact that the Buccaneers play the Rams and the Bengals and the Chiefs at home at Raymond James in 2022, and will travel out and play those 49ers. All four of the teams that are in tomorrow's AFC and NFC championship games. Wasn't because he's 0-4 against the Saints and probably was a little afraid maybe he'd be on, but maybe he just didn't want to wear those creamsicle uniforms. But really, this is a facilitation for you guys to talk with me because I don't know what to think about this. It's happening so fast. We're boots on the ground here. It's just being reported, and I want to know what everyone out there is thinking. Smilegate says, Ray, I was waiting for this live video. So sorry, Smilegate. Of course, I'll be honest with you. I was on St. Pete Sports Connection with my good friend, Mr. Peter Blake and Harry the Greek, and we were talking about this. And it was, I think Harry had a prediction today. And of course, I did too. It's one of the reasons why I was going to go live down here earlier, and I was unable to get on. And what would have been a chance is, of course, Peter was actually on live when it broke, which is pretty phenomenal. So after you're done watching here in Cup of Ray and commenting, feel free to go check out the hashtag Rolex Reporter, and of course the sports web and Peter Blake, because he was live when it happened. But I wanted to get here as fast as I could. We want to talk about this. Kenny Spindola says, good. Now go get Watson. Slow your roll, Kenny, but we'll get there. Michael McCord says, cry emoji. Sorry about that, Michael. Mike Stover says, thank you, Brady. Like, that's how we're all feeling, right? It's like, I said it last night on Cup of Ray. We grabbed the tail of that comment, and we went for a hell of a ride in a pandemic 2020 and a COVID-19 2020, while the entire world was trying to figure out their from a hole in the ground. And here we got Tom Brady comes in here, brings in a phenomenal cast with this group that Jason Light had already put together, with this phenomenal coaching staff that Bruce Arians had built, and of course they win Super Bowl 55. You don't get like stuff like that. This is what the good stuff's made out of. This is what the memory's forever about. So yeah, thank you, Tom Brady. Let's start right there. Of course, we got a lot to figure out, but we'll get there one day at a time. Frank Beatty says, thanks, Tom. I 100% agree, Frank. Orlando Salas says, thank you, Tom, for 2 amazing seasons of football. We needed this more than you'll ever know. The world needed this, right, Orlando? Let's be honest. One team would have won. Of the 32 teams, somebody would have gotten there, but the narrative, the poetry, the depth of just a beautiful story that the Buccaneer, of course, Buccaneer fans got to celebrate the fact that it was our team. Probably would have been a great story if Tom would have went to any one of the other 30 teams, right? If he'd have went out and it wasn't that guy that the team decided to go with instead of taking a Tom Brady. A lot of people speculate at this point that it possibly was Garoppolo and those 49ers who are in the NFC Championship game versus the Los Angeles Rams tomorrow at SoFi. But 100% agree that you'll needed it more than you'll ever know. The world needed that story. Christian Okpazor says, Russell, we need you. Of course, Russell and Watson, 2 quarterbacks that probably are going to be free agents, or at least Russell Wilson's going to try to be a free agent. Of course, Watson wants to be a free agent more than you'll ever know. Mike Stover says, I'd like to see what we do with Trask. Like to see Trask, of course, and of course, we were talking about this last night. Misador, I'm going to give you some props on this. Trask never dressed his game day once last year. You had Blaine Gabbert, you had Tom Brady, you had Blaine Gabbert backing him up 7 years in this no risk and no biscuit system. Former first-round pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Looked pretty good in 2019 before he breaks the collarbone. Didn't need him in 2020 as Jameis was going 30 for 30. Of course, didn't need him, or 2019, didn't need him in 2020 when Tom Brady was here. But the Buccaneers, I'll get to the reason why some of this. We'll talk about this. This may end up being a good thing, guys and girls. Jonathan McKay says 1-5 against the Saints. You know, Jonathan, I'll parlay that with, though, that one was pretty important, right? Of course, the divisional round playoff victory last year and Drew Brees' last game as a quarterback in the National Football League. You know, that's the thing. So now, like, basically you got Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady both going into the Hall of Fame first ballot. Of course, that's it. Unless for some reason Ben's induction into the Hall of Fame is stalled. I won't go there on a Saturday. I'll save that for a cup rant on Friday night. But you got Drew Brees going in the year before. So in the next 5-6 years, we're going to see some phenomenal talents, of course, and then we get to see what happens next year. If maybe an Aaron Rodgers, you know, he said he could walk away from the game in 2020, 2021, said he could host Jeopardy, said he had just gotten married, said he could walk away from it. Maybe he's not immune from the retirement bug or retirement story. Of course, now his services are going to be wanted even more so than ever. Roger Stewart says, we're toast. Roger, easy, we'll get there. Christian says, Christian Okvazor, facts, bro. Facts, bro. Yeah, 100%. Marquise Gajewski says, why has all this come out before Tom released a statement on his own? You know, that's not, and we talked about this. Tom has never been a drama queen. Although some would say by his very nature and how focused he is on always being perfect, his perfectionism, some would say, well, that's the ultimate drama. No, Tom's not. He wouldn't take away from this. He's not. Same with what you see with Ben Roethlisberger this week. Doesn't even have a big press conference where he goes and lets, you know, Rooney and the family kiss the ring, or he goes and talks about. And Tom's not going to do that. He wants to make the decision because Tom's always been team first. That's one of the reasons why you get to be the greatest of all time. Every decision Tom Brady's ever made is team first. And of course, Tom wasn't going to do it during Super Bowl week next week. And then the very following week, you're already looking at your playoff, your personnel for 2022 and going to the combine. Things happen so fast. And we say this sometimes tongue in cheek, but especially here at Bucs Report, I can tell you this from just proof, from just knowing it because we cover it. It's 365. 24/7. So there is no offseason, and Tom's not going to take away from the game. He's not going to come out with a big video of him and Giselle jumping off a cliff in Hawaii announcing his retirement. So you figure something like this happens, and it's just exactly what you'd expect from a Tom Brady. Jonathan McKay says, sucks, but good for him. God for him, but I know what you mean. Good for him. If that's what he wants to do, enjoy your family. 100%. Jack's going into high school. The kids are not getting any younger. The sacrifice they made for Tom to continue to be the greatest of all time in the best and top level of his craft, in some would say the hardest profession in the entire world. There's only 32 of them. I'd put it before. I'm not going to go there. Anyway, Tony Slanina says, no. Yeah, no, Tony. That's what we're hearing, right? ESPN reporting again, once again, if you're just joining us, that Tom Brady is retiring from the National Football League after the most phenomenal of careers. And here's the thing. I'd have been down here. Sorry I haven't shaved, but, you know, I haven't been able to get any sleep worrying about this. No, I've just been lazy this week. But this is news the entire world. This is news over the entire National Football League. This is news if you're a fan of sport, because Tom Brady transcends sports. He transcends football. He transcends 32 NFL franchises. Every team of all the 32 franchises has had that quarterback that, you know, except for maybe the Lions. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding with the Lions, although Stafford. But they understand what it means, the face of the franchise, or the Hall Pro or All Pro or the Pro Bowl or Hall of Fame type players. And when a player like Tom Brady walks away, it's big news. So I'd have been here live with you guys anyway, because the Bucs Report here at Bucs Report, in this case, it actually has many implications directly because Tom Brady was your starting quarterback here in Tampa Bay the last 2 years. But news like this transcends. So we cover it and we talk about this because, hey, we've seen the greatest of all time in our lifetime. Don't know if we'll ever see it again. Don't know who will see it next. Willow Meadowbrook. Hey, Willow, Tom earned it. Let the man relax, 100%. Kevin McKenzie says, good for him. Now enjoy the life with his family, and thank you, Tom. Love those sentiments. I love that. That's the way I think a lot of Buccaneer fans feel out here. Then tomorrow we're going to be like, what the hell's going on here? Frank Beatty says, we got a ring. Heck yeah, if you love it, put a ring on it. Richard Brayborn says, Brady was the man. Football will miss him. 100%, Richard. I tend to agree with that. Please, more comments. I want to know what you guys are thinking as far as what we're going to do moving into 2022. The Buccaneers as a team. And, Chino Feliciano says, thanks, Tom. Just hope we can keep the winning tradition. Yeah, we had a cultural change. And again, this is the team that Jason Light's been putting together since 2014. This is the team that Bruce Arians took over in 2019. And we've seen that cultural shift. We saw a defense. We saw a secondary. We saw the tools at the right places. We've seen great decisions made and a great core group of players. And then you bring Tom Brady and Gronkowski and Fournette in, and and McCoy in 2020. But it was just a phenomenal. So it kind of really helped to speed up that cultural shift, that turnaround, that belief in oneself, the belief that you can go out there and compete with the other team on any given week. Don't want that to go away too soon. All the teams want that. It's the reason why we're hiring 8 different coaches a year, it seems, in the National Football League, because people are chasing that culture, and Tampa Bay has it. Just want to retain it. Adam Weed says, thank you, Tom Brady. You did amazing. 100%, Adam. I love it. Shay Dittman says, cry, cry, cry. Bucks flag, love, love, love. Fire, fire, fire. Super Bowl trophies, Lombardis. Thank you, Tom Brady, to go. That might be the best comment right there today, Shay. Thank you so much. Frank Beatty says, I'm crying. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I celebrate. We celebrate Tom Brady. And then we're going to worry. Then we get the draft, and who are the Bucks going to take in the first round, and what are we going to do for free agency with all of the free agents we have on this team? A Ryan Jensen, an Ndamukong Suh. Are we going to keep JPP, or what are we going to do with a Fournette or Rojo? Who's are they going to play for? And if these other players, some of these players that we kind of know, like an OJ Howard, that a lot of people suspect will be leaving the team, are they going to be playing for a divisional opponent next year? We don't want to see that. So Johnny Majea says, no. Yes, Johnny, that's the news. And Christy Esquivel says, we will survive, but thank you, Tom, for believing in us. I love that. You guys, you're showing up in spades today. I love this because this is what I like to see. Fred Swayze Moore says, thanks for the championship, Tom. See, these are real Buccaneer fans in here today. I love it. Tina Morton Bender says, totally crying, Tina. I get it. I kind of know how you're feeling. Little weird, right? A little hazy. Great 2 years with Brady, says Dennis Casanova. The stadium has never been so loud. Let's keep it that way moving forward, right? As we celebrate the Buccaneers. Daniel Williams says, Danielle Williams says, thanks for a good time. God bless you. Home 81312. Yeah, I'd like to see Tom continue to stay here and keep a place here. Now that he knows how beautiful it is, like the rest of the world, surprised Tampa Bay is one of the most phenomenal places in the world to live and visit and vacation. And now that he's got a place here where he knows what it's about. Let's see. Mark Allen says, upstate New York from Tampa. Thanks, Tom Brady. You and the GOAT. You are the GOAT. Yes. And Nikki Statches says, Nikki was in here last night. Ugh, I'm not mad at all. Although I'm not mad at all, though. I'm sad to see him go, and I will forever be grateful for getting to see this man in a Bucs uniform and do so many amazing things for my team the last 2 years. He was truly the GOAT on and off the field and a true class act. Getting to see this man play for a team I truly love. I realize everything he brings to the table, including his football knowledge on the field, the way he reads defenses is simply amazing. This team the last few years was so special, and he was the last. Maybe she's got a continuation here. Let me get to that. I think we ran out of characters. Love it. Ken Campagna says, oh, no, we suck again. Let's not go that far. I mean, let's be honest. We saw it coming out of 2020, going into 2021, coming out of 2020 after the Bucs dropped 55. They put another Lombardi in the case, second of all time in the teams. Now, all of a sudden, this team had and I'm not saying Bucs fans had a problem with it, and I'm not saying the team has a problem with it, but they had targets on their back the entire season. This was the defending Super Bowl champions, still quarterbacked by Tom Brady, still coached by Bruce Arians, who some would say poses a reason why other teams or coaching staffs don't like the Bucs entirely. Bruce Arians doesn't play politics too well, and don't you just love him for it, Bucs fans? Sometimes being at the top, and I'm sure Patriots fan will tell you this right off the bat. I'm sure last year they had a terrible down season. They draft Mac Jones. They get it going again. They bring in they've got players who sat out, who deferred or didn't play last year because of COVID. They bring in spend some really good money in free agency, fortify the tight end position. Sometimes coming from the middle of the pack or top of the pack, I still think the Buccaneers are top, even without Tom Brady on his team. I would be shocked. I'll go ahead and put this out there. Of course, nothing in the NFL does surprise me anymore, or I should say the media that covers the National Football League. Again, if you're just joining us here on Cup of Ray on Bucs Report, Tom Brady, it's being announced through ESPN that Tom Brady is retiring. He has played his last game as a Buccaneer, or as a player in the National Football League, of course, and as quarterback for the Buccaneers. I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden teams just try to poo-poo the Bucs down to the top 10 again in power rankings. Go ahead, guys. Make that mistake, because Tom is the greatest of all time. This cannot be argued. This cannot even be, you can't even think about this. But this team right here, even with the free agents and the players who have to come back, Jason Light still put a hell of a solid nucleus together here in Tampa Bay. Go ahead and throw us in the top between 20 and 32 in the power rankings. I have no problem showing you guys how wrong you are all next year in 2022. Martin Rodriguez says, thanks for the Super Bowl title, division title, and making us relevant the last 2 seasons. Well said, Martin. Kerry Koo says, Love coffee. Eric Jolly says, thanks, Tom. I appreciate you for bringing a ring to the franchise. You are the man. Take care. Go Bucks. Can't let this stop us. Love the comments. Love it. And I know Tom loves it too. In fact, let me call him real quick. I'm kidding. I don't have him. I don't have him on speed dial. I have to actually dial it. Martin Rodriguez says Aaron Rodgers to the Bucks. Martin, I'm sorry. I don't know about that, Martin. We'll see. But again, let's see here. Let's move on some more of these comments. I apologize. I've actually got a mouse. I don't know why I'm not using it. So sorry. Let's see here. Jordan Abbey says he had so much left. That's the thing. Again, I'm going to go ahead and cover it because of next year's schedule, and it's a toughie, right? If this was year 10, year 12, year 14, if Tom had come here after 10 years in New England and winning three Super Bowls, and he came here, then, well, of course, obviously the cat played until he was 72. But the thing is that you kind of saw it. He made it. He said some things this week talking about Giselle doesn't like to see him get hit. And of course, you got the image now. The lasting image of Tom's last game will be going to that sideline with the bloody lip, right? Just took a little bit of Von Miller's crown to the helmet. Of course, Tom got the personal foul on that because Sean Hockley is a jerk. You guys read that article of mine. Hope you on Buck Sport this week. Just something my wife had said. But he did have a lot left. But you know what? Got a lot of life left. So let's, wish that cat definitely all the well. I know we are doing it here. Andrew Rio says, you think we have a shot at getting Russ Wilson? The thing about it is Russ Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Teddy Bridgewater would probably be more realistic as far as the Bucs not wanting to spend I don't want to pay $40 million and have Russell Wilson take a flyer year in 2022 to try and learn this system. And that being said, if the Jacksonville Jaguars are remiss and don't hire Byron Leftwich as their head coach to develop Trevor Lawrence, then, you'd have Byron Leftwich here again to teach another veteran quarterback that foreign language of another offensive system that Tom talked so much about last season. Of course, it took him till week 12 to get it. And the Bucs go on the undefeated eight-game winning streak, the 4 regular season and 4 postseasons to win Super Bowl 55. Do you guys really want to see the Bucs spend $40 million for Russell Wilson to come in here and try to learn this offense? I sure as hell don't want to trade 3 number 1 draft picks for Deshaun Watson. That cat's talented, and I'm not saying I believe in innocent until proven guilty, so I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to massage the idea of what's going on there, but I don't want to see this team. That's one thing we didn't do with Tom Brady. We didn't have to trade New England 2 number 1s or 3 number 1s, which would have been great to have a Tom Brady. Of course, we now know in retrospect because he locked in that Super Bowl championship. This team still has a lot of depth, still has a good core of a nucleus of talented players. I just don't know if I want to spend $40 million to have a quarterback learn this offensive system for a year. But good question. Kenny Davis says it was Bucks before TB12 and damn sure after. Thank you for the ring at hashtag Bucks Nation, hashtag fire the cannons. Hashtag 100% Kenny. Hashtag great Kenny. Mike Stover. Excuse me. I've been talking a lot between today and in the radio, so excuse me. Mike Stover says continue the process. Just matriculate that process, right, Mike? Carlton Cook says not a drama queen, but a cheater. Come on, Carlton. Gotta have one. Hey, what would we do without the haters? Justin Whitlow says, let's just focus on what's next for Tampa. Yes. Torrance Parsons says, afraid of another key player not wanting to come back due to Brady leaving. You're thinking Gronkowski. Maybe you're thinking of an Ndamukong Suh. I mean, here's the thing. Teams are going to have turnover every season. You're not going to lose Devin White. You got a franchise. You got to get Chris Godwin locked down, which all of a sudden we're going to have a lot of money to do that. And the Bucs are going to look to do, you have a Blaine Gabbert who knows the system. You have a second-round draft pick in Kyle Trask, who's had a year now behind Tom and in this system behind Blaine and under Clyde Christensen learning this offense. So why not work on keeping a Chris Godwin and sign a great big free agent on defense or an offensive lineman so you don't have that lack of depth if Tristan Wirfs goes down again. Again, Buccaneers, first time the Buccaneers have had an offensive lineman, first team All-Pro in team history. But you don't want, before you start automatically, because we lose Tom, let's let the other pieces go and let's find the next Tom. There's not going to be a next Tom. So you got to, at one point, and the NFC South, of course, is still kind of a developing, kind of a rebuilding division, especially with the retirement of Sean Payton walking away from the New Orleans Saints, Matt Rule and what's going on there and the dumpster fire in Carolina. So you got ability to continue building this team. I don't think I need to see this team go out and spend $70 million to bring in Jesus Christ and 10 of his apostles to play offensive line, because even then it doesn't guarantee if there's an injury or what goes on in this National Football League. And we've got a good core nucleus of talent already here in Tampa Bay. Willow Meadowbrook says, fix the defense and find a decent quarterback. Hell, we want to know too with Brad Johnson. And, I don't mean a football boy, Sean King down, local boy, make great, Gibbs Gladiator, and, of course, there's Tulane graduate. But what he was doing in 99 when he took the Bucks to the NFC Championship game after Trent Dilfer gets injured that year, I think you got a championship defense. And let's look at that Buccaneers defense, especially where they ended 2020 with that beatdown in Super Bowl 55 of those Kansas City Chiefs. We got a championship defense. Maybe, before we go out, slow our roll as far as who we're going to get quarterback, how we're going to fill this. Let's look at the fact that we've already got some depth there, or at least players that know this system, and then possibly still look to bring in another quarterback, because you'd like to see a competition. Because if it's not Tom Brady, and if you're talking about Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask, I mean, Lord knows the Bucs may be able to hire or find a diamond in the rough for someone who has experience in a pocket type of push the ball down the field with the vertical passing game type of an offense. So you'd like to see the Buccaneers bring someone in and have a three-headed monster competition for the starting quarterback here for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Maybe bring back Vinny Testaverde. Carlton Cook says, need Light to retire now. Let's see. Jordan L. Stanford says, I heard that might get Wentz or Wilson. Is this true? After Indianapolis, they gave up a first-round pick. It ended up being to the Philadelphia Eagles for Carson Wentz. So, and then Wilson's already making $40 million a year. So, I want to see a team that's sure of itself. I want to see Jason Light and Bruce Arians. I want to see an organization that says, look, we're one piece away. And the thing is, the problem is, though, there's 15 or so pretenders every year, maybe 10, but more like 15 that are one piece away. And then the next year, they're still that one piece away. And then the next year, they're still that one piece away. Jason Light is going to figure out where the pressure, and Bruce Arians is going to get with him to figure out where the pressure needs to be applied on this Buccaneers roster to give us the best chance to win the NFC South in 2022, to get to that postseason dance. And then you got to be one of the teams that gets hot at the right time and make that run. You need a lot of things in your favor, and the Buccaneers are right there. Lynn Penny says, I'm going to Polink. I think she meant puke. It's too early in the day, Lynn. You better slow down. Lynn says, gonna puke. Oh, yeah, you did mean puke. No, you're good, Lynn. Tony Billing, no, yes. Reported again, ESPN reporting that Tom Brady has announced that he is retiring, or there's no announcement from Tom Brady, but it's been announced that he is retiring from the professional football and from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Roger Greenberg says TB12 is going to be in Canton next year. If there's ever been a cat that deserves to, you know what? Put in Peyton and Tom, boom. I mean, put in Tom right there next to him. The two of them should be the first busts you see when you walk in the Canton. Two of the best to ever suit him up. Moon Boom 22 says, thank you, Tom from Thailand. Thank you so much, Moon Boom. Evan, I love these all over the place. Love these comments in here on a Saturday too. Special Saturday afternoon pop-up. This one is actually a pop-up cup of Ray here on Bucks Report. Evan Hanvey says his agent has said he's still undecided. Again, I said it last night when I went live and with Locamfora from CBS Sports, and then you got ESPN and it's blowing up all over the place. It really does get to beat the point where there's smoke, there's fire. If there's ever been a player that could come back and say, I did think I wanted to, but I didn't, but I don't want to, so I want to come back and would be welcomed back with open arms, especially if this team hasn't already made decisions moving forward, then it would be Tom Brady, but you'd have to see that first. Brian Billings says, longtime Bucs fan, appreciate Brady coming to Tampa and giving us another ring. He gave us what we wanted, nothing but the best for this man. Well said, Brian. Very well said. And Alan Daughtry said, thanks, Tom Brady. Great. And Amber Abalama says, thank you, Tom Brady. I will miss watching you play. God, it was great seeing him play, wasn't it? Still would have loved to have seen that cat wear the old OG Bucko Bruce uniform. But, I've got my OG Doug Williams throwback me uniform, and some people say, oh, you don't wear a uniform. Got the Tom Brady uniform, got the Gronkowski jersey too, got the Tom Brady jersey. But as far as my creamsicle now, it'll always be. But, I still consider, just for throwback purposes, still going out and having a Brady creamsicle. I'll bet it's still one of the good selling, maybe not the top selling Buccaneers jersey, but if they offer it on the online store, or if you can get them made, I still think it'll be a big selling jersey if people haven't already been trying to lock those things down. Because you kind of thought they were going to wear them, the throwbacks, at some point this year, because the NFL passes the 2 helmet rule, which was whatever. player safety will always be tantamount for me against chronic traumatic encephalopathy and stuff like that. But they finally passed the 2-helmet rule, but they said the Buccaneers were already past the point where they could submit uniform. These are the damn uniforms they wore for 30 years or 20 years. It's not, you got to put the Nike on them or whatever, if it's Under Armour or whatever, it was Nike, but whatever, apparel is currently sponsoring those teams. But other than the logo placement, it's the creamsicle Bucco Bruce throwback uniforms. You really needed them to put those in by a certain time in this day and age? Really? That was the stupidest thing ever. So we'll never get to see Tom wear that creamsicle number 12. Still wouldn't mind having one, though, just to remind everybody that the GOAT did play here in Tampa Bay, and we got a Super Bowl championship with him under center. James Canada, he deserves that. James Canada, good to see you're feeling well, feeling better, James. Great to have you in here. Definitely best wishes. And Nick Stathopoulos says, let's just thank Tom for 2 great years, and let's sign Godwin, most important, because bro, it's gone too. 100%. Joshua Waddell says, even the haters will secretly miss Brady. Yeah, because they're going to hate not having anyone to troll, right? Stephen Hibbert says, next up, Kyle Trask. I mean, that's the reason why you draft a kid in the second round out of Florida. He is a stand in the pocket, tough as nails, overachieving quarterback who I still say, now that he's had a full year to develop in this system, and love to see him get another year. And maybe that means Blaine Gabbert under center in 2022. I still say Kyle Trask has already shown, coming out of Houston at the University of Florida, the kid has tough as nails type of a game under center. And at this point, it's going to be great to see what was able to rub off of Tom Brady. Because by now, it's famous the things that Tom Brady does. All football teams, all coaches, all quarterbacks are utilizing a lot of. Remember back when it was weird that there was a thing on the news that Tom Brady was doing this. He was wearing the side and it was flashing lights and stuff like that. And he was using it to help him work on concentration and pocket awareness, but concentration in the pocket. And that was like 14 years ago. And people were like, what? That guy's crazy. A lot of quarterbacks are doing a lot of the things. That's why this TB12 system. That's the TB12 system. And a lot of the quarterbacks, and interesting to see, Blaine Gabbert had 2 years with Tom. Of course, Kyle Trask had 1 full year. You also have Ryan Griffin, who was on a practice squad. So the Buccaneers are going to have some, I hate to say they got bodies, but they've got some very talented quarterbacks that have had experience in this system that can still come in here and make a run for the starting quarterback for the Buccaneers. Of course, if you're just joining us again, the news today is that Tom Brady is retiring after this last season. So Sunday's game against the Rams was Tom Brady's last game in Buccaneers uniform. And Buccaneers fans here are just reacting a little. Richard Rayborn says groom trash. Is that a marriage thing? I saw a wedding party come down here earlier today, and they had the slips on, and I said, "Oh, congratulations to who?" And the bride was so excited, and they were just starting their day out here, and I'm like, "Oh, it was so early." I'm like, pace yourselves, ladies, have a great time, but congratulations. Love to see the enthusiasm as she was heading toward matrimony, and I'm sure she's a very lucky guy. Looking forward to walking down the aisle with her, and she was a Buccaneers fan, so even luckier guy. Did I read Judd's? Judd says, thank you, Tom Brady. You'll be missed. 100% Judd Bostwick. Torrance Parsons says, Nick Staphylopoulos and Lenny, 100% forever. Yes. Dennis Casanova says, Brady definitely changed our locker room mentality. Yes, he did, didn't he? Let's hope we keep going. Yes. Daniel Shreve says, Brady brought us so much relief, so much belief that we could win another Super Bowl ring. And he did. Long live the GOAT. I love it. David Wingo says, is it Aaron Rodgers time? LOL. Aaron's not going to be immune from talk of coming to Buccaneers. I'm going to lean back on this thing for a minute while I read these awesome comments. Gary Dodge says Gronk's gone also, I bet. Gronk's mom lives just up the road. One of the reasons why he loved coming here. He had a couple of good years. Of course, he saw it again in this last season. The back's been his biggest issue. It was his biggest issue when he was in New England. It's one of the reasons why he walked away when he did and retired, and then went to wrestling, kind of to stay in shape, because he can still move around. But some of the hits, some of the helmets, some of the shoulder pads, some of the spearing that tight ends take by the very nature of their position. So good to Gronk too, because also, wouldn't you like to see the two of them going into the Hall of Fame together? Isn't that kind of a package deal with Brady and Gronk? It kind of always was. It felt like it always was, Bucs fans, that when Gronk came here and Tom, pulls out the shell and calls, or Brady comes running around with the birds flying off the lake. We all remember that meme. And it was kind of a package deal with the two of them. I would hate to see it if the two of them don't win. I just hope that Gronk was ready to retire, and it kind of sounded like he was when he said, if you asked me right now after the season in his press conference post-game this week, he'd have to say no because he always takes a while. Got to see those two going in together. In fact, you'll probably see the two of them throw a pass to each other on the stage, which wouldn't it be the way you want to see it with the National Football League in a Hall of Fame in Canton in 5 years? Jason Meerdink says, thanks for a winning team, Tom. Enjoy retirement. 100%, Jason, I agree. Lily Mundrano says, thank you, Tom. You'll be missed. I apologize that it's a little cold out here, and I didn't bring a bottle of water, so I apologize. My mouth is getting a little bit dry. Alexander Guardo says, Brady is a 1 in a million. Didn't like him in the Patriots because I didn't think he was all – I thought it was all Belichick, but leaves New England and comes to my Bucks and right away a Super Bowl. It's hard, but he's earned it. Best wishes. Well said, Alexandra. Well said. Jordan Ashby says, oh, no, we suck again. Of course, there's always going to be those. Max Frazier says, great competitor. 100% Max, great comment. Torrance Parsons says, David Wingo, we need to think long-term and not have to deal with this every 2 years. Talking about going out and getting a veteran quarterback. Because I can, if we're sitting here, and I'm just telling you because president of the debate team in high school, debate in college, I like to debate. So, one of the things about debate was you'd walk in and any given day, the teacher would walk in, a professor, and say, all right, you're this, you're pro, you're con, debate. And so you're thinking on the fly. So you're debating, but you still have to make arguments based on merit. With that being said, I can make an argument, even with the free agents, depending on who the team retains going into next season, but with a Devin White and Levante still on this team, and the offensive line and Tristan Wirfs, and you keep Jensen, or maybe Hainsey's your answer at center, whatever the Bucs have, I can make an argument with the secondary alone that Jason Light, that was a big thing. That was one of the first things that Jason Light and Bruce Arians wanted to do, bury the lead. Bruce Arians comes to town, wants to develop Jameis Winston, wants to get that no risk it, no biscuit philosophy going, brings in first hires are Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich. Of course, Byron Leftwich to BOC. One of the first things the Buccaneers had to do was they had to get rid of wheel route Willie, right? Which I just say that because the Buccaneers defense was so susceptible to wheel routes, but they start building a defense. You got a Whitehead, and you got a Carlton, Sean Murphy Bunting, and you got an Antoine Winfield and a Carlton Davis. But some of these pieces that we put into the Buccaneers put into the secondary, these are household names now. And it's not just because they're the back end of a great front seven, although I always say a great front end makes up for a bad back end. But I could make an argument the reason why you want to bring a quarterback in here, a quarterback who's polished, that can learn the system, that can possibly, if that's what Bruce Arians decides and Jason Light decides he wants to do. That being said, it's not a total rebuild. We're not going to draft a rookie like Trevor Lawrence and have to take our lumps for 2 or 3 years. We're not going to go out and try to grab a practice. We're not going to bring in Taysom Hill to try to run this offense. We're not going to, I don't think Jameis Winston would come back, but you look at it now. I don't know what kind of contract Jameis Winston has with the New Orleans Saints, but let's go ahead and throw this out there. I know the cat threw 30 freaking interceptions. He was the 30 for 30 club. It's ironic, but he still threw for 5,000 yards and over 30 touchdowns. Now all of a sudden, Bucs fan, of course, I got lambasted when I first proposed this, when Jameis first got signed by the Saints, and he goes, there's a free agent after the Bucs had Tom Brady. I said, I would not be shocked because the Buccaneers had 5 years of film on this cat, and Jason Light drafted him, and Bruce Arians had a full year with him, so he knows what he has with him, or at least he knows what he has to make up for as far as efficiencies go. I would not be shocked if down the road, and now you got Sean Payton leaves New Orleans. No one knows where Jameis Winston's going, but then, from people I hear that know, people that are friends and they know the Winston family and friends, they're like, Jameis would never come here. Don't ever assume it. I don't know. It's a business. I'm proposing that. Kind of interesting now. Here we are 2 years later, and you're like, we knew the cat was throwing touchdowns, but he was also throwing interceptions. Has he learned how to not throw interceptions 2 years in New Orleans? And would he possibly be something the Buccaneers would at least, you have to look at it. You got to look under every rock. Am I wrong, Bucs fans? Comment in here. David Wingo says, will there be a public address? Haven't heard anything yet. As of right now, there's no scheduled announcement. It's just been announced via ESPN, or it was announced earlier today. Adam Schefter reporting that Buccaneers quarterback, number 12 in your program, number 1 in your heart, Tom Brady is retiring. Let's see here. Mike Stover says Gronk's not going anywhere. Again, I don't think so. His mom lives up the road. He's not going to another team. Let's put it that way. It's not going to be a money thing with Gronk. It could be a money thing if the Bucs decide to pay him a little bit to have him stay next year, and then you just got Gronk going to Canton to visit Tom when he's enshrined, and you got Tom going back a year later to visit when Gronk's enshrined. So I'm not saying it has to be a package deal. It just kind of would be nice, something nice to see. You don't see that every day, do you? Carlton Cook says the culture resides with the owners, not the players. That's a deep thought, Carlton. Wow, I'm gonna have to look at that for a second. William Meadowbrooks says guaranteed by Monday morning, Tom will have offers from NFL Network, Fox, CBS, ESPN, ABC, and of course, I think the big McGilla for Tom is that he's got a production company and he's making some solid stuff. He's got enough content from the last 22 years that he could just go out. Who doesn't want to see the after school special, Tom Brady, the 8-year-old wearing the Joe Montana jersey to the catch game where the Niners beat the Cowboys. Also, give me some predictions for this weekend's game. It doesn't have to all be about Tom Brady, although that just happens to be the big news of the day. San Sebastian says Brady did what we had to do. We got a ring out of it. Love Brady for that. Great comment. So 100%, Sean. Jordan Ashby says hopefully Trask with a new coordinator will be something eventful. Well, hopefully, yeah. If it is a new event coordinator, right? If it is a Kevin Garvey because he doesn't follow Byron Leftwich to Jacksonville, we'll see. Franco Silva says, stay living in Tampa. You got to love it living in Tampa, Franco. Tito Ortera says, thanks. We now have the winning mindset. We will continue to do great things. That's what you have to do. Have that positive mindset. Well, I'm so sorry. My back is flushed out. You can't even see the Ferg sign. That's Central Avenue down here. Again, I'm down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill on Central Avenue in the Edge District of St. Petersburg, just below 16th Street. This place is booming. As I'm talking to you guys, right there in my front vision is Tropicana Field. I'm on the party deck out back here to get out of that wind some, and also got the sun shining a little bit. It feels pretty nice out here. And of course, man, I'm right above the kitchen or down from the kitchen, and those wings, I'm going to get 30 of them coming up here in a few minutes. Keith Fitta says, thank you for everything, Tom Brady. You revived our team and brought a mindset that we can use moving forward. We'll miss seeing you play with our boys. Yeah, I know because that's the thing. When you grab the tail of that comet and you go for that ride and you're so fast and you're traveling through solar system and you're just like everything's flashing by and it's all great. And what it meant for the Buccaneers, what it meant for the team to have Tom Brady for 2 years, that, when you lose the tail of that comet and all of a sudden you're floating back off into space, not knowing to which planet you're going to go to. Is it the planet winning or planet losing? You see what I did there? I have no idea. I'm just waxing at the pointer. I had all kinds of comment for a cup of rave this Sunday. Of course, it got blown up last night when the initial Confora from CBS Sports reports said, it was imminent within 2 days that Tom Brady would announce his retirement. And of course, today, ESPN reports that Tom Brady is retiring from the National Football League. So content flies out the window. I got content for all the entire offseason. I got Buccaneers history, got all kinds of stuff. We can get to that later. The big news is Tom, right? Nick Scasia says, thanks for making Tampa Bay relevant and bringing a winning culture here. Let's keep the winning ways. Next man up. That's Nick. Obviously played yourself. Torrance Parson says, next year's schedule looks rough for a team potentially rebuilding. Don't say rebuilding. And no, this team does not go back to 2-14. It's not just what Jason Licht's put together in the nucleus, again, of talent that he has here. You can't go 2-14. Not when you have the Falcons and Matt Ryan's 74 years old. They got Kyle Pitts, but you got them kind of still in a rebuild or heading toward a rebuild, right? And you have Matt Rule trying to hire an offensive coordinator and trying to put together something that had a defense that looked pretty good. Joe Brady had a defense looking good early in the year, but then they flamed out like a P-51 in World War II. And then you got the Buccaneers, who still have the greatest part of the nucleus of this team staying together, still having the money to try to retain the pieces that Jason Licht and Bruce Arians and the team, and Todd Bowles or whomever agree that still need to be here to continue making. And so am I too early in making a prediction? The Buccaneers, they own the South in 2022. I mean, that should be a given. This team, now instead of it being the team, the Bucs are being the defending world champions with Tom Brady at quarterback with a big target on their back, which is what we had for all of 2021 and pretty much for the most of 2022 during a pandemic year because Tom Brady was our quarterback. Now you got a hustling, built, talented Buccaneers team, most of which have a taste of what it takes. They have that taste. I couldn't know if you see my hand. They have a taste of what it takes to win a championship. So they know the things. They know the sacrifices. They know the attention to detail that they have to have. They know what they have to do to get that winning, to continue having that winning culture. That was, to me, always the most important part of Tom Brady. I did not know we were going to win Super Bowl 55. That was awesome. That was stuff that my children's children will talk about. But just the fact that he came in here, and I posed this when Tom Brady was signed in March of 2020, that if Tom Brady never played a snap at quarterback for the Buccaneers, just having him in here, having the players take the extra rep, having them go through a wall, having the greatness of Tom Brady rub off on the mentality of this team and where this Buccaneers team was already going, already getting better defensively, already had Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and Scotty Miller, but I was going to say OJ Howard, but we had Cam Brate, but we had Tristan Wirfs we didn't have, but we already had a pretty Ryan Jensen. We already had a great nucleus team here. But then Tom Brady comes in here, and now all of a sudden it's like, you know what? We don't need to improve. We're already improved. Now we got to take care of business. Want to see that continue 100%, Torrance. Qual Blue says, let's get Aaron Rodgers. LOL. Let's not. Michelle, let's get Tom Brady NFL MVP for 2021. I've been pounding that drum. I know they say I had Bill Bender here on the pregame show from Sporting News. Great author locking it down. And he's like, well, generally the writers usually vote along the same lines that they vote for All-Pro. So Tom Brady didn't win All-Pro. Aaron Rodgers was All-Pro, but I still say Tom Brady was every bit as much as most valuable player to his team as Aaron Rodgers was for the Packers. In fact, Tom never missed a game because he wasn't vaccinated and got positive with COVID because Tom wasn't even let. Now, I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers should be punished because he got COVID, but that was a thing, right? And to me, one of the things the most valuable player to a team does is they do everything within their power to be the most value to that team. And that's what the Buccaneers had in Tom Brady. So I made that argument that Tom Brady should be the MVP. The NFL honors will be Thursday night before the Super Bowl. Maybe it still happens. Michigan alum up in here. Michelle Ann Bloom says, what a run. Enjoy your life and family, Mr. Brady. You got to know it, Michelle. Love that. Willow Meadowbrook says, Gronk will retire also and possibly Bruce also. Now we are talking rebuild, Willow, so we'll see. Tito says, hell yes. And Jordan Ashby says, thank you for making us relevant again. Yeah, 100%. That's the way we feel as Bucs fans, isn't it? Qual Blue says, we need to get Russell or Aaron Rodgers now. Okay. Josh Cruz says, Wilson to the Bucs. Going to have to eat that $40 million contract. I sure as hell I'm not going to hand the Seattle Seahawks 2 first-round picks for Russell Wilson or whatever the asking price might be for him. We just got there. The Rams are back in the Super Bowl. The Niners are back in the Super Bowl. The Rams went out and got Matt Stafford. Of course, they traded Carson Wentz. Not Carson Wentz, but who much did he say? Help me out here. To the Eagles. And they bring in Matt Stafford. But teams are – and there's two – the 49ers actually draft a first-round quarterback, and they keep Garoppolo, and they got him back in the championship game. So it doesn't always have to start and end with that quarterback position. Sometimes it's just a team you've built that gets there year in and year out. This Buccaneers team, they're not going away. They've made the playoffs 2 years in a row. They won the division. They won the NFC South this year. You have an improving NFC East. I get that. You have an NFC North. They're going to hire 2 more new coaches. Who knows? But Buccaneers are in pretty good stead so far, still going into 2022. Mike Stover says people can hate us. All the better can stick it to their faces again. I love it. Chill Will. If he retires ready for our recent draft picks to shine. My cousin Ted up in here. Glad to hear the bad news from you, Ray. Ted, man, you know how much that means to me to know that my boy Ted, who's the biggest Buccaneers fan that I've ever known in my life, even next to my dad, got the news from me. I appreciate you, Ted. Tony Billing says, what a fun 2 years it has been. Thank you, Tom. We are going to miss you. Go Bucs. Yes. David Wingo says, didn't we have a year left? Well, he had a year left, but it was a 2-year, but I'm sure there's going to be concessions made as far as how to get him out of it. It's not guaranteed if you retire. So it's not like the Bucs are on a hook for any money or anything there. Josh Cruz says, he said he was satisfied, which he never said that before. That's one thing you never heard Tom Brady say. He never was satisfied. And to hear that he got to a place where he was satisfied and it wasn't because he limped off into an offseason surgery or he was forced to retire, he did it. That's the one thing. As much as I can say that 2022 schedule looked like it was a hell of a challenge for Tom to come back, a home game in Frisco, all the other 3 teams that are playing tomorrow in the championship game here at Raymond James Stadium, he did it in his terms. And I'm sure his ultimate terms would have been winning that 8th ring and a 2nd consecutive and then walking out, announcing on the stage, I've played my last game. Tom probably wouldn't even do that to take away from the moment for the team, but he went as close. I think Tom Brady went out as close to his own terms as like a Peyton Manning or some of the other quarterbacks, like kind of a John Elway. Guys that they had that big success at the end of the season or ended their career, and then they don't have to stick around and try to continue, try to for a 10-7 team a year or an 11-6 team and whatever. Give the young guys a chance to step up. I think we got some young guys here that are going to do just that. Matt Ferguson says Derek Carr. There's one. If the Raiders are going in a different direction as far as if Matt Carr's available, he's a gamer. He's like a Kyle Trask, just stand in the pocket, uh, pelotas to the wall kind of a quarterback, right? David Turnier says Deshaun Watson, if he's cleared, he will set us up for years. He's young enough, though, David, I'll give you that. But still, the cost, heavy price tag to bring in Deshaun Watson. Mike Stover says Sean Hawkeely isn't a butt clown like his dad. And I liked Ed, the muscular Ed, but Sean I guess he got a little red backside because of what Tom had said last week with, I get away with stuff and stuff like that, because not only did he miss the crown of the helmet, which was a bang-bang play, I get that, but then he gave Tom the 15-yard personal foul for speaking his mind. I'm glad he did, though. Aren't we got Bucs fans? I'm glad that Tom spoke his mind. Christine Feeder Hagedorn says, if he does retire, I think it has more to do with family than not loving the game. Go number 12. You never stop loving the game, Christine, right? I 100% agree with you. Great comment. Jay Hoff says, go Bucs. We were so lucky to have had the GOAT on our team. Just appreciate the time we had with him and the fact that he helped bring us another championship. Time to do a semi-rebuild with all these free agents now. And it is a semi-rebuild, though. It's not a total rebuild. It's not a pull the pin and throw it in the hole and blow it up and then go in and see if there's any survivors. This team is locked and loaded. Not from the Super Bowl 55 position they were in. Of course, they didn't make it to SoFi in 56, but this team is still loaded to be a competitor in a National Football Conference in the NFC. So slight rebuild, semi-rebuild. I like that, Jay. Rency Hill says, what about Winston? I just said that, Rency. I'm just saying. Sean Payton was this guy there. Now you got Brady. Who doesn't love a reclamation story? And did Sean Payton teach Jameis how to do more pre-snap reads or how to read defenses a little more? Jameis, do you remember the offense? Because remember, don't forget, for all the argument that we said, Tom Brady came in after 21 years or 20 years and learned that foreign language, that Bruce Arians offense. And then Carson Palmer said that you're going to throw more interceptions in your first year in this offense than you will in your career. And it comes to pass, except for Tom Brady. But again, greatest of all time. But what did Jameis Winston, would the Bucs reach out to him and say, look, you were our number one guy. Wouldn't it be just the cat's meow if you came here and you locked down and you ended up in the Buccaneer Ring of Honor someday? Or do you flail around the rest of the league? You still may lock on with the great team, but you're already a year advanced ahead. You don't know what you're going to have in New Orleans because Sean Payton's not there, but you already had a year in this no risk it, no biscuit system. What do you think? It's kind of what I was saying 2 years ago when he left the team. And I said, I would not have a problem if this cat came back. I'm not going to pay the guy $28, $30, $32 million. I mean, he just got, what did he get paid last year? $13 and like a $50 gift card to Smoothie. It's not like the cat is going to come in here demanding big cat salary. You get him on a heavy incentive contract, even one to make the team. You're always going to do what's best for your team. But then again, Jameis has to do what's best for his family. He's a dad now. He's not a 18-year-old kid coming out of FSU or 19-year-old kid anymore. So, a lot of stuff going on there. But I like that comment, Rancy. Lisa Marlowe says, thank you, TB12, for 2 great years. Heart emoji, GOAT football. Lisa, well said. Marion Busby says, I don't want to get Gabbard or Trask at quarterback. Fair enough. I mean, we all have our feelings there. Dennis Davis says, this is the end of an era. New era begins. Going to miss veteran quarterbacks. There's a good comment. You're right, Dennis. Greg Sizemore. Is it official? Yeah, no, it's not official, but ESPN is reporting that Tom Brady is retiring from the National Football League. ESPN. I mean, last night it was this Jason La Canfora from CBS Sports. Now today you've got ESPN. I mean, again, where you start. Eventually, you see smoke, you don't see fire, but you see enough smoke and it's coming from different sources in an area. There's fire. Now you just got to figure it out. So hasn't been confirmed or official, but it's out there. So look for that. Willow Meadowbrook says, bring in Trask, draft a quarterback, and build. We don't need to pay to bring in a big-name quarterback. I just don't want to see a team handicap like that. Theodore Ted says, Todd Bowles, our coach. If Bruce Arians is if that's part of that went into this decision, Ted, I mean, they talk. That's what they do. They all the hours of time on airplanes and in team meetings. And, of course, you had the meeting in there with Byron Leftwich and Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles inevitably as a defensive coordinator. But, Brady may have, Bruce Arians, I think I'm retiring. Well, I think I might retire too because Christine wants to go to that beautiful forever home there in Georgia where I got the nice pontoon boat on the lake and I like to drink my Bud Lights and enjoy life a little bit. Phenomenal career that excuse me, Bruce Arians has had. Again, it's really dry out here. I'm sorry, but why not? I mean, maybe it's as early as this year, Ted. I mean, who knows? Jordan Ashby says, I'm a diehard Bucks fan. Huge Bucks tattoo. How long do you think until we make the playoffs? I think we'll make the playoffs again in 2022, Jordan. I'm just saying that because this team ain't going to all of a sudden not be as talented as they are. A lot of holes to fill, a lot of money to fill them. Cap going to go back up again after the NFL again. You know, I said this early last night. The NFL pulled the cap back during COVID because Lord knows between DraftKings and all this other stuff, the NFL was bleeding money. But the NFL is going to bring that cap back with the CBA last season. And, of course, now the players are going to get that cap money back. The Buccaneers are going to have – Jason Light's going to have a nice bank account to bring in talent. And I don't know about you guys, but I think about Vita Vea, and I think about Tristan Wirfs, and I think about Mike Evans, and I think about and Ndamukong Suh. And I think about some of the free agent signings. And I think about the team that Jason Light put together to allow a Tom Brady to come to Tampa Bay and win Super Bowl 55 with the core group that they had and Bruce Arians at the helm. And I look at it and I'm like, Jason Light didn't wake up stupid last season or this morning. He's going to wake up just as smart tomorrow in his player evaluation department. This is still Tampa Bay with this core group of players in a division that can be won. I still think that you're going to have free agents that want to come here. Are they the ones that wanted to, are they going to be the same ones that wanted to come here when Tom Brady was here? They may have already did their homework. They may like the Tampa Bay area. I'm sitting out here on a beautiful, actually it's colder than heck, but I mean, you know, it's just chilly, but it's become nor'easter coming through here, but it's still Tampa Bay. They come down and have a good time. Ravi Dalshawn says, football will never be the same without Tom Brady. It won't be. The average fan will not realize that Tom was the Jordan of football. 100% we do, but I think the average fan doesn't. You're right, Ravi. Time now to build his $1 billion athlete brand. TB12. I 100% agree. I'm on board with TB12. I love it. Let's see here. Dennis Davis, pretty much. Yeah. David Turner says, give Trask a shot if the price is for Winston. Give Trask a shot if the price is for Wilson or Watson or too steep. 100%, David, 100%. Marion Busby says, bring Winston back. Going to be a lot of that going on in the next few weeks. Call JW. Call JW3. Call Jameis 1 of 1. Say, you know, still got love. Just saying. David Turnier says, stop with the Winston crap. He's not coming back. We can't go backwards. Yeah, we can't, David. Dennis Davis says, bring Brad Johnson. Okay. It was getting a little off the rails, wasn't it? So Torrance Parsons says, Marion Busby, not sure they will. I know we still have a bad taste in our mouth. Willow Meadowbrook says, Wentz is a hack. I feel that option. Got to have a big run passing. You got to have a big play action pass game to give Carson Wentz a chance, just like you do with quarterback there in Tennessee who didn't beat I like the Bengals. Did I say that already? I like the Bengals this week. I like the story. I like Evan McPherson, the rookie quarterback out of Florida. Love the story on that kid. Paul Beeman says, Jameis coming home. You heard it here first. Wait, but Paul, you're wearing a Groucho Marx mustache and glasses. Is that because you're trolling? Michael McCord says, keep Wentz as far away from Tampa as possible. I agree, Michael. Matt Ferguson says, do you think BA will retire if Brady retires? I don't think that was a condition for BA retiring. But I think Bruce Arians is definitely getting to a place where he's ready to start considering enjoying life with Christine and the Arians Family Foundation and all the things they have going there with Jake Arians. Mark Cibula says, let's the retooling begin. 100%, Mark. Robert Wilkinson says, Bucks forever, be trash. Now Brady retired. Not at all. Brian Clark says, thanks, Tom. Enough said. 100%, Brian. Fred Williams Jr. says, no Winston, no Wentz, no Wilson, no way. Fred, maybe the best comment in here today on this Cup of Ray here on Bucks Report. Mark Cibula says, tied with Brad Johnson as the greatest quarterback in Bucks history. They both led the team to a Super Bowl. You can't doubt that, can you, Mark? Definitely cannot doubt that. Robert Miranda says we need a better secondary. They're getting there, Robert. You can't put 2021. We literally had injuries from week 1, and we were signing Richard Sherman, who was coaching by the end of the season, but this secondary was facing injuries all season, and they've already got some decisions to make with the secondary as far as contracts going into 2022. So. Carlton Davis, I mean, you're talking about you could always improve It seems like now most of the big defensive secondary players are going in the top half of the first round, even above your usual in the back with running backs and such. But we'll see. Brian Billings says Trask will be QB1 next year. Time to build for the future. This was a plan from the get-go. I do tend to agree with that, Brian. Paul Beeman says, thanks, Tom. Welcome home, James. Again, I think David's trolling a little, or I think Paul's trolling a little bit. David says, Light has done a damn good job lately with picks and free agents, and he will strike gold again. 100% agree with that. Robert Wilkinson says, Bucks will never win another Super Bowl. Anyway, Matt Ferguson says Brady in the Ring of Honor. Yeah, he's got to be in the Ring of Honor. Willow Meadowbrook says surprise entrance to Canton. Brady gets inducted the same year he retires. Wouldn't that be great, Willow? They announce when they announce next month, or when we announce next week, that Rondé Barber will be the next Buccaneer in the Ring of Honor, even though Tom will forever go in as a Patriot. You got to have a special section cordon off for what happened in here in 2 years, and Tom brought to Tampa Bay, and leads them to Super Bowl, because that's not just it's what he did his last 2 years in the league. That's part of his mystique. That's part of the Tom Brady brand, that he had a team of upstart talented team that Jason Light put together here, and came in 1 year, same year he came in here, learns that offense and leads this team to a victory in Super Bowl 55. So he may not be in there, and we share him, and we have no problem with that. He belongs as a New England Patriot. I'll make that right now. I've said that all along. But you can't deny in his legacy, you can't deny what Tom did here as a Buccaneer. So he goes in as a Patriot, but he's also a Buccaneer. You can't deny that. There's just no way around it. It's just what it is. And take that from an author of nothing but articles, but on Bucks Report, but Ravi Dalshan says, do they honor TB across the league with each team retiring number 12? Easy. Pamela White says, we were the Bucks before Brady, we will be the Bucks after Brady. He did us proud. We'll miss his spirit. Well-deserved retirement. Oh, nice. I like that, Pamela. Well said. Willow Meadowbrook says, I haven't heard it from Brady. So yeah, we haven't heard it from Brady, have we, Willow? Jordan Ashby says, I hated Tom while at the Patriots, but he was our saving grace. We loved him the past 2 years, and we'll love him forever now. We will, won't we, right? I mean, he's going to forever be one of our boys. He's one of our 55 champions. He's one of the players, 53 that were on that roster last year, that put that Lombardi in the case. And that Lombardi case, I know you troll and you say the Bucks will never beat a Super Bowl again. That's false. It's hard. It's not easy to get there. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of luck, a lot of skill, a great team, group of dedicated players, but that second Lombardi, it will never leave the trophy case at One Buck Place, the Advent Health Training Facility. Elias Rubio says, thank God, Trask, it's your time. Fred Williams Jr. says, let's stop this Winston talk. He was fired by the Bucks, and the Bucks put him out of the season in New Orleans. That's just how the Bucks fire. Yeah, I get it, Fred. Marianne Busby says, Torrance Parsons, bad taste in my mouth as well, but I want to win games. But I want to win some games. Tony Bossorio says, Gronk next, probably. Davio Dalshan says, Gronk. Agreed. Gronk and TB retired at the same time, going to Hall of Fame together. 100%. Man, am I that far behind on these comments? Sorry, I got another. I want to make sure I'm not missing any breaking news. 100%. No breaking news other than what we heard from ESPN this afternoon that Tom Brady is retiring from the National Football League. Craig Greathouse says he wasn't fired. His contract was up, shaking my head. Yeah. And BA already said if not for Tom coming, Winston would be the good quarterback. I mean, it was behind what was behind. That's the statement. What's behind door number 2? Anyone but what was behind door number 2? Maybe a couple other quarterbacks, Jason Light or Bruce Arians would have went, you had to go with Tom Brady. That was a no-brainer. Matthew Ferguson says, do you think BA will retire now that TB12 is retiring? Brady for Ring of Honor. I think I got to hear it from Arians on that, because I think Coach could go another year. In fact, now maybe Coach is challenged to go one more year, to maybe put some more coordinators. If Leftwich is hired by the Jacksonville Jaguars, or if Todd Bowles, another team, is smart enough to go after Todd Bowles as a head coach. But I think Bruce Arians, he leans on his coordinators, and he already said that if Byron Leftwich left, he'd be calling the plays in 2022. I don't know about that. I don't think Coach Arians is in a position to want to teach another quarterback that offense all again. He needs a Byron Leftwich to be able to run intermediary, to teach his offensive philosophy. So good questions. Brady for Ring of Honor, 100%, Matthew. Matthew says Derek Carr, possibility. Matthew also says, let's get creative and keep Chris Godwin and Lombardi Lenny. I like that. Fred Williams says his benching and no resigning says it all. BA is just being polite. He was just being polite. But again, it's 2 years later, and Tom's retired, and you still have Kyle Trask. Maybe Kyle Trask is a year away from developing. Maybe Blaine Gabbert is not looking to play another year himself. I mean, people get to a certain point in their life that, like Tom Brady, throws for one of the best One of the best seasons of his career. At least he didn't have a down season. Puts himself in contention for the NFL MVP. Great way to go out on top. But I mean, Blaine Gabbert didn't see the field but twice, and both of those times, I think, to go out and hand Tom his mouth strap or his chin strap. But maybe Blaine walks away. One would pose that if Tom Brady makes that call and actually did make that call, and Jason Light's gotten that call and knows that Tom's retiring, and then really Blaine Gabbert's your first call, because we got to make sure that there's at least a plan of succession, even with a Kyle Trask possibly ready to come in. But you'd love to have a Blaine Gabbert competing with him for that number one spot or backup. But a lot to be seen. It's so early. We still have the championship game tomorrow. We still have the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. So we'll get there, right, Fred? Tony Barasio says Bucs starting quarterback Kyle Trask. Could be Kyle Trask. Jason Dahl says, will Tom retire as a Buck or a Pat? He's got to go. He'll sign a contract to retire as a Patriot. That's what Tom would do. That's what not that he has to, because he's a Patriot and a Buccaneer. But you'll see Tom, the love he has for Robert Kraft. He's going to go in there and sign a contract and, to retire a minute later, have Jeff Saturday come out like he did in the Pro Bowl when he goes out and comes over from the NFC squad, because Jeff Saturday was on the NFC squad, and goes over to the AFC squad and hikes it to Peyton Manning and then blocks Gerald McCoy on the play. But, that's the kind of class that Tom Brady has. He's about the history of this game. He's a student of the game. So I believe he's going to retire as a Patriot, because that's what, your great players do. Joe Marazito says, no announcement yet. Everyone on roster is at his house begging him to stay, LOL. Fred Williams Jr. says, what do you think? Bill Lovett says, I would think as a New England Patriot, since he played there a lot longer and won them all the Super Bowls. Yes, Tony Vesperasio says Bucs 13-4 next year. I can see it. I definitely can, right? And then Bill Lovett says, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, ? We'll see. How you doing, brother? You going to open up out here? Oh, okay, I'll be out of here in 5. Willow Meadowbrook says, Tom just stole the thunder from the NFC AFC Championship game in the Super Bowl. All they are going to talk about this offseason is Tom. And that's 100%. You can't deny that, Will. Tony Barasio says Aaron Rodgers is next to retire. Ben Cornett says, thank you, Tom. Ben, good to see you in here on a Saturday, brother. Ben also says Jared Goff was the quarterback that the Rams and the Lions traded. Jared Goff goes from the Rams to the Lions. And, of course, Matt Stafford goes out there to the Rams. Dex Chiles says, if Tom doesn't void his contract, we're absolutely on a hook for close to $30 million. Not if you retire, though. See, that's just it. If you retire, you automatically void your contract. You can't retire and then expect to still get paid. In fact, if he had gotten a large signing bonus, the Bucs would actually be in a position to possibly go back after some of that signing bonus. So I think there's a fine line we're talking about. Maybe we have a disconnect there, Dexter, that he wasn't on the. It's always basically the language in the contracts are if you're on the roster as of March, whatever. And in this case, Tom won't be possibly on a roster as of February 1st. So that remains to be seen. But great bringing it in here. Jordan Ashby says he had surgery and came back with a fury. Yeah, he did from last season with that knee. Lisa Perez Robinson says, thank you for bringing such excitement and energy to Tampa. Tampa loves you. Talking about me, Lisa? I'm kidding. Yeah, we do love Tom, don't we? Bucs Skull gang in the house. Aaron Rodgers coming Bucs next. Bucs Skull gang in the house. How about Baker Mayfield? How about Jason Light and Bruce Arians? They're going to know. I'm sure Jason Light, being the astute general manager that he is, he's got a book. He's got a binder full. In fact, Clyde Christensen has a binder of the quarterbacks he'd like to look at, I'm sure. Bucs Skull gang in the house is how about Russell Wilson? Bucs game Gronk gone too, probably, possibly. Timothy Malloy says this dude is an idiot, shaking my freaking head. I hope you're talking about me, Timothy. All right. Bucs Skull gang in the house. How about Captain Kirk? Timothy says we literally suck again, shaking my effing head. Bucs Skull gang in the house. We should go all in, looking win now mode. Yeah, Timothy Malloy. Unless we get Rodgers, the whole team will fall apart now. What is this? I don't mind trolls, but at least have a little bit of knowledge. Bucs Skull gang in the house. How about Fournette? Bucs Skull gang in the house. How about Adams wide receiver? Watson is going to prison. Okay, I take it back because that was funny. Bill Nemar says Gronk will retire now. Alex Schomburg. Hey, Ray. Hey, Alec. Thanks for coming in here. Timothy Malloy says everyone's saying Winston obviously hates the team. That's what I hear too. Timothy Malloy says Brad Johnson didn't lead any team. That defense did. You know what, Timothy? Okay, I take all these back, and I apologize. I was messing with you because you were messing with me. But I don't know if you were saying I was the idiot. But if you weren't, I apologize. But you had some pretty good comments. But, Brad Johnson, he was on the offensive side. They did enough to get that offense over the top. So Bucks going in a house. We won that all blitz. Bill Newmar Jr. says Sherman will be coach with the Bucks next year. Oh, I love it. Joseph Johnson, no, one more season, please. I know. Pamela White says keep our O-line and Gabbert and Trask could do well. I love it. Right. Nick Sashia says Trask about to open some eyes. He has talent in all. He has talent in all positions. You're learning from the GOAT. Trask winning his quarterback in Tampa. Why couldn't he be? I mean, as low as the bar was for Tom Brady to set all these records, and he set some phenomenal records that will be here for a minute or two at the Buccaneers. It's not a deep pool as far as some of these quarterbacks. So you get a Kyle Trask and you let this kid build into this system with this solid core group of players that Jason Light's put in here in Tampa Bay. This could be very prescient, Nick. I love this comment. Won't know until he starts and plays. Go Bucks. 100%. Johnny Dean says Raymond James gets renamed Tom Brady Stadium. Oh, I love it. Johnny Dean, are you trolling a little bit? Paul Beeman says not trolling. Jameis's chemistry with Evans and Godwin. I agree. Okay, Paul. No, I agree. And then Johnny Dean says whoever takes over at quarterback position will have a hard time next season. The schedule isn't rookie friendly. That's true, Johnny. Joseph Johnson. They should get Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Johnny Dean says 167th comment here. Johnny, I love Johnny. Man, Johnny brings it strong. Not only does he bring the knowledge, he always keeps track of stuff like that. Thank you, Johnny. It's maybe my most commented show ever. Besides when Jameis Winston, precariously enough, agreed in principle. Jameis Winston's camp agreed in principle 2 years ago with the New Orleans Saints. And I went live that morning and I had 7,000 views. It was crazy. Johnny Dean was a piece of that because he was the one that told me to go on live with that news. And we went on a little extra early. Edward Brent says Trask is up and next and time to keep Godwin. You got to keep tools around if you're going to have Trask, a second-year player, coming in and take the reins of this offense. But, you're going to need these tools for whoever's quarterback for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers next season. White convicted. Did he really retire? It's what we're hearing. It's what is being reported by ESPN that Tom Brady is retiring, but there'll be more news, I'm sure, to come. No announcement forthcoming, nothing scheduled, but you'll be hearing more, I'm sure. Door number 2, Aaron Rodgers. Rich 0665. One is going in a couple of days. Jake John says, so who do you think is coming to replace Brady? Jake, I do not know, but Panthers Flies says maybe bring Kurt Warner back for one season. Nah, he's back stocking shelves at the shopping mart. And Johnny Dean says, if the Bucks don't get Rodgers, plan B, then Trask will be fine. And that is my last comment of this show. Again, if you're just joining me or if you're joining me at the very end, I'm going to sing for you. I'm not, but again, ESPN reporting after Jason LaConfora of CBS Sports last night reported that an announcement was imminent within 2 days of Tom Brady's retiring, and then ESPN reporting this afternoon that Tom Brady is indeed retiring from the National Football League after a stellar, greatest career of all time, and 2 years under quarterback for your Buccaneers, and brought home a championship with last year's squad in 55. Thanks for joining me. I hope you guys have a great day. Stay warm wherever you are. And even though this is another pop-up cup of Ray, and I don't have my closing, I'm going to end it like I always do. Everyone needs to know someone cares today. Let's all call Tom Brady and let him know that, no, but let someone know that you're the one who cares about them. Have a great day.